So today we are going to discuss the metal semiconductor junction. So if you recall that we have discussed the PN junction, right? Now a natural question may arise. um, how we are going to connect this PN junction, right? So they have to be connected using some kind of metal wire, right? So this metal semiconductor junction is required to make contact. Now this contact, we want this contact to be ohmic. There are two types of contact: ohmic contact and rectifying contact. For ohmic contact, the VI relation is like this. So whether you apply positive voltage or negative voltage, right? The slope is same and it passes through the origin. Correct. In case of rectifying, in one direction it conduct, other direction it may not conduct, or it may not be symmetric, right? So these are two types of contact: ohmic contact and rectifying contact. So let's say if you are making a contact with semiconductor, of course we will prefer a ohmic. But the semiconductor and metal contact also have rectifying property. And in fact, they are actually rectifying. We have to make them ohmic. So those concepts we will discuss in this class. OK, so metal semiconductor contact, Schottky barrier or diode. Now, if you have just metal here and a semiconductor here, right? If this contact is basically behaving like a diode, this is easier to fabricate. So we can achieve the properties of PN junction by simply forming a metal semiconductor contact, which is simple to fabricate. And also you will see later on, there is no problem of magnetic carriers there. It's a magnetic carrier device, so it will have high speed also. And then of course we should be able to form ohmic contact to connect the semiconductors to outside world, the wires. And there is another device based on this called MESFET, metal semiconductor field effect transistor. So let us see a few diagrams. This side is the metal, this side is a semiconductor. When they come in contact, some natural barriers are formed, right? This you are already familiar with PN junction. Because this is a single material, you don't see this these sharp bends there, right? It's all smooth because it's a single semiconductor. If you have different semiconductor, you will see those sharp bends there. And this is basically diagram for heterojunction, right? It's basically the HVT we will discuss later, but you can think like a PN junction here only, right? So this is some P-type material, this is N-type material, but the band gaps are different, right? So this band discontinuity appears here. And one more thing you can notice here, the barrier for electron and the barrier for holes, they are different. Barrier for electron is more compared to the barrier for hole. But in case of PN junction, you see the barrier for electron and hole, they are same. So this type of PN junction can be useful in designing high efficiency emitters, so that there is a from emitter there is a carriers are going, from base carriers are not going, right? So that will have good gain. This is basically metal, oxide or insulator, and semiconductor. So this kind of bend you will see basically bendings. Okay, so let us begin our discussion on metal semiconductor contacts. Okay, so this is the basically Venn diagram. For metal, we define a work function. Now, what is work function? Is basically energy required eject an electron from metal surface, and we call it Q phi m. So Q phi m will be basically energy, and phi m will have the unit of potential. Similarly, for semiconductor, we can again define Q phi s, right? Because Fermi level, from Fermi level to vacuum, energy required to eject electron. But since this is a semiconductor, there are no electrons here. So we define another quantity called electron affinity. This is called electron affinity. And this is again the energy required to eject the electron from the bottom of the conduction band. And this Q chi and this chi will have the unit of potential. And if you see the natural alignment here between the conduction band edge and the Fermi level in metal, the gap is Q times phi m minus chi. Now, when they come in contact, what will happen? These Fermi levels will be aligned, right? And this will remain as it is because these are the band alignment. They are not going to change. So if Fermi level is here, this will also come here, right? And it will smoothly change from this position. So a conduction band will look like this thing, and Fermi level will be here. So you see, for electrons, this will be the barrier, and this is called basically the barrier from metal side. And this will be the barrier from semiconductor side. Okay, anything else? This is basically now this barrier from the metal side you can express in terms of band gap also. EC is basically this minus EF. This is what? Okay. No, this is not exactly same. Oh, this phi s minus chi. Okay, ठीक है. Phi s minus chi. This is not the barrier. This is phi s minus chi. So phi s. So the gap between the Fermi level and the bottom of the conduction band. So that will of course depend on the carrier concentration. And because electron carrier concentration is same as doping, right? So you can write this expression. So EC minus EF will be KT log NC by ND, right? NC is the effective density of states. And that can also be written as Eg minus KT log NV by NA for P type. Because for P type, Fermi level will be at the near of the valence band. So let us show the same thing when they are connected. Now this is basically when they are in isolation, right? When they come in contact, your band diagram looks like this. Now you can try to draw the band diagram for P-type semiconductor. You can please take 1 minute and draw the band diagram for P-type semiconductor. So where the barrier will appear in case of P-type metal P-type semiconductor junction. See, for p-type semiconductor is somewhere here, right? So for p-type semiconductor, the valence band will be here, and accordingly the conduction will be here, and it will look like this, right? So now you see the barrier for holes here, right? Now you notice one more thing here. Let us continue the discussion with this n-type only. So these electrons have a barrier here, right? Now if you compare the barrier heights, the barrier from metal to semiconductor is higher compared to the barrier from semiconductor to metal. Another thing you notice here, if you apply a voltage, what will happen to the barrier? When you apply a voltage, let's say you apply positive voltage, right, to semiconductor, this Fermi level will go up or go down? Because Fermi level or this level is basically energy, right? Energy is minus QV. So V is positive, so QV will be negative, this will go down. So Fermi level goes down and the barrier will increase, right? So plus V will be added here. It will become QVVI plus V. If you apply a negative voltage here, then this barrier will reduce, right? But the barrier from metal side is not changing. So in case of current flow, only the current flowing from carriers electrons flowing from the n side will dominate. So it's basically something like behavior of one-sided junction. And and please remember the two parameters from this diagram. This phi Bn is the barrier from metal side, right? This phi Bn, and it is basically phi m minus chi. And the barrier from semiconductor side, VBI, is phi m minus phi s. And if you add a voltage here, so okay, if you see here, if you apply plus V, so you are applying positive voltage to n side. So it is basically reverse bias. If you apply a negative voltage to n side, it is a forward bias, right? So you can say it's minus V applied. So if V is forward bias, this barrier will reduce. So now we will not call VBI, we will called again it's a barrier basically. So B barrier you can say. It's not built-in potential, or the potential barrier for electron from. Now you see here, two barriers are different basically, right? The barrier from semiconductor to metal is a function of voltage. Barrier from metal to semiconductor is a fixed thing. Of course, when you apply zero bias, the current will be zero. So that means these two movement of carrier from metal to semiconductor and semiconductor to metal, they will be equal, right? So these both currents will be equal. And when you apply a forward bias, the current, the carriers moving from semiconductor to metal will increase. So you will have large current. And when you apply a reverse bias, this barrier will increase. So now less number of electrons will be able to move from semiconductor to metal. So, so you will basically get very similar type of current equation. I will be some kind of coefficient times exponential minus QV by KT. You can say plus QV by KT if V is forward bias, right? So you will have similar expression, but this will be dominated by one type of carriers, in this case electrons. Okay, now these barrier heights from metal to semiconductor, they depend on the work function of metal and the electron affinity of the semiconductor. And if you try to plot it with, you should get a, let's say phi bn with phi m. If you increase phi m, phi bn should increase, right? And the slope should be 1. Correct? Let us see, when we measured these barrier heights, what we found. We found that for metal and n-type gallium arsenide, n-type silicon, the slope was not 1. It was kind of flat, more or less flat for gallium, and it was slope was you can see here from 6 to 3, 3 to 6 it is going. It is changing from 0.2 something to 1. So this is 0.8 by 3, right? So 0.8 by 3, right? What do you get here? 0. Around 0.3, right? So slope is not 1 basically. Now what is the reason for this thing? It will become evident in coming slides. There is another mechanism playing role there, because when you terminate a semiconductor, right, it is not behaving like a bulk, it is behaving like a surface, right? So some surface states are there. So even before connecting the metal, these bands will have certain bending, because these carriers will come to the surface, right? And in the band gap there were no states in the bulk, but at the surface some states will be there in the band gap, because this surface is truncated. So the surface states will play a role and cause this behavior to change. We will see them. Eh? Okay. Now these are the two diagrams, energy band diagram for metal contact with n-type semiconductor and p-type semiconductor. The barrier height with from metal for n-type semiconductor is called phi bn. Okay, this should be phi bp. Huh? Okay, okay, please correct it. It should be phi bp. Now you notice here the sum of these two heights, phi bn plus phi bp, should be equal to the band gap. Now band gap is energy, so you can write Q here, or you can write Eg by Q. Eg is the energy and Egq will be by the potential. So you can write phi bn plus phi bp will be Eg by Q. So the barrier height for electron and hole, they are related basically. And of course this built-in potential you can vary by applied voltage. So when you apply the forward voltage, maybe you now take 1 minute to draw the Venn diagram with forward bias and the reverse bias. So in forward bias, this barrier will reduce, right? Here, this barrier will reduce. So this Fermi level will go down. This Fermi level will go up, right? So that means you are applying a negative voltage here. You are applying a positive voltage here, right? This is N-type, this is P-type. So the convention is similar, right? So for N-type, if you connect negative voltage, it is forward bias. For P-type, you connect positive voltage, it is forward bias. When you reverse bias it, this barrier will increase, right? Let me use different color. Reverse bias. And the Fermi level will go up, right? So we will apply negative voltage here. Here Fermi level will go down. So we will apply positive voltage here. So when n-type connected to positive voltage, it is reverse bias. When p-type is connected to negative voltage, it is reverse bias. So you can see them here. So this is again for forward bias. This is also for forward bias. These are Venn diagrams. So very important for semiconductor students to be able to draw the Venn diagrams. And similarly, you can see the Venn diagram in the reverse bias. I will share these slides with you. So all these barriers are increased when you apply the reverse bias. Now, let us think what is happening inside the semiconductor and the metal interface, right? So if you recall on metal and semiconductor, if these bands are bending, let's consider n-type semiconductor only. So this is basically n-type semiconductor, right? So these bands are bending. What is happening here? Fermi level and the conduction band edge, the gap is large here, right? That means electrons are less here. Here electrons are same as the dopant. That means this region is a depletion region where a lot of donor ions are there and electrons are less in number. So corresponding negative charge will be accumulated on the metal. Now in semiconductor it is distributed, right? In metal we know field cannot exist inside the metal, so all the charge has to be at the surface only. So your depletion region will be inside the semiconductor only, and it will behave like a one-sided p-n junction. For example, if you have p plus n junction, right? It will be very similar to that. And using the same calculation, you can calculate the depletion width and other parameters also. So this is your n-type semiconductor or silicon. This is metal, right? So now both these two charges, they have to equal, right? And the charge here is Q times Nd times W. So this will also be same as minus Q Nd times W. And the width is very small, right? So from this, of course, you can get the electric field. Maximum electric field will be at the metallurgical junction, and that will be Q NdW by epsilon, right? Because del dot D equal to rho, right? So if del dot D is equal to rho, now rho is Q Nd. So D will be integral dx. So Q Nd times W, and D is epsilon E. So E will be Q Ndw by epsilon, right? So that's what's written here. Now epsilon is basically dielectric constant times free space permittivity. And similarly, if you integrate this one, you will get the potential integral E dx. Now you notice here, this length is very small, right? So what will happen? This electric field will increase here and is quickly decrease here, very quickly, right? Now this length is so small, this area you can neglect, right? So total area, you can just say the area inside the semiconductor. So if you take the area, it will be half width into height, right? So half W times EM times. So you will get expression like this for the potential barrier. Of course, you can take it as a function of position also, but this is the overall barrier. Now, of course, here we are assuming this rectangular type of charge distribution, but in real life, there is some slope here, right? And in one of the lecture, there was one quiz at the end where we found out the effect of this thing is basically it changes the barrier by value KT by Q, right? So your VBI changes by KT by Q. For one junction, one side. For PN junction, where there are two sides, it reduces by 2 kT by Q. So your VBI becomes the VBI for rectangular space charge minus 2 kT by Q. But this is a metal semiconductor, so there will be only 1 kT by Q here because the other side is metal. So all the expressions that we derived for p-n junction, we can apply here. So we can get the expression for depletion width, charge per unit area, right? Capacitance, right? And we can also get the doping from the slope of 1 by c square versus v, right? And we can get a built-in potential from the intercept. Now this built-in potential is basically the barrier right from semiconductor side, not from the metal side. So these are all basically concept we borrowed from the p-n junction, and they are very similar to like p plus n type of junction. So this we have discussed. So it is similar concept for same as p-n junction. So obtaining the barrier height, right, and the doping concentration, right, from the CV curve. Now, how the current flows in this kind of metal semiconductor junction? Now, this process is called thermionic process. So this is pictorially shown here. In equilibrium, the current flow, the electron flow from semiconductor to metal and metal to semiconductor, right? Of course, more number of electron can go from metal to semiconductor, less number can go from because this barrier is low, right? So more electron can go from semiconductor to metal, less number of electron go from metal to semiconductor. But since we have applied we have applied 0 voltage, right? So current has to be 0, right? So that means if you take care of some coefficients of this current, these both currents should be equal, right? So since we do not have a way to measure this current, we have derived the expression for the current from such kind of barriers, right? So we can say that at equilibrium, the current from semiconductor to metal and metal to semiconductor are same. So that means this metal to semiconductor current, now this barrier is not changing, right? So this metal to semiconductor current remains same, right? So we can say that J metal to semiconductor is same as J semiconductor to metal at V equal to 0, right? So what we have to do? We have to calculate the expression for semiconductor to metal current as a function of voltage and subtract semiconductor to metal current at V equal to 0. So it is very similar to the p-n junction diode. The expression we will get, right? Exponential QV by KT minus 1, right? Because this barrier is changing, so the current will change exponentially. Of course, in forward bias, this current is increased. In reverse bias, this current is decreased. So you will only have this reverse saturation current there. Correct. Now, how do we calculate this kind of current? If you see here, this is basically we are considering some kind of 1D situation, right? So this is basically your 2D thing, right? And in, let's say, in X direction, right? These carriers are moving. Now, which electrons can come over this barrier? Electrons which have velocity, or if you recall, the energy here is EC plus K square by 2m, right? So H bar square K square by 2m is the kinetic energy, and that is half mv square, right? And this energy should be more than VBI. Or the built-in potential. So you can write the expression for current as Q times N times velocity, right? Now Q is of course the charge, N is the number of carriers, and V is the velocity. Now here in this situation, only the electrons above certain velocity can cross over this barrier. Others will be reflected back. So there are multiple ways people have derived this expression. You can take basically integral VdN you can write, where your N will be density of a state times the Fermi distribution, right? That you can write, or you can simply write this N can be written as number of states, right, times the Fermi. So this can be written as Fermi times number of state FdK integral, right? Or you can simply say sigma F over all the K. Right? So we will use one of the approach here. Now please look at this derivation carefully. You don't have to remember it or drive it, but just understand what is happening there. So J current is given as Q times V times N, right? Now N is sigma F over K. Now each F can has 2 electrons. So you get this 2 times F QV, right? So this is what we have written here. Now only the carriers where velocity is or the energy is more than this barrier, only they can cross over this barrier, right? So for this is, let's say, X direction. So in X direction there is a requirement that velocity should be certain minimum velocity, and there is no requirement for Vy and Vz. So they can have any velocity component in Vy and Vz. So these Vx, Vy, Vz are basically related to Kx, Ky, Kz. So you can write it like basically 2q times. Now F is basically Fermi function. So if we consider here the assumption, it's a non-degenerate semiconductor. Right? You can write F as Boltzmann function, right? And which is e to the power minus E minus EF by KT. Right? So here E is written as EK. Right? And of course your dk can be, because k is in 3D, right? So you can write dkx, dky, dkz. Right? Now each dk has 2 pi by L number of state, 2 pi by L y, 2 pi by L z. So Lx, Ly, Lz would be volume. So this is the volume, and 2 pi q. So this is divided by the volume of one state basically. And we have to integrate it, right? So when integrating it, certain relationships that are useful. So Ek minus Ef can be written as Ek minus Ec plus Ec minus Ef, right? So we will get Ec minus Ef out of this integral. We will only have Ek minus Ec inside the integral. And of course, Ec minus Ef is your this Fermi level is here, is related to the barrier, the difference of the barrier and the built-in potential, Ec minus Ef, right? Because this is pi Bn and this is Vbi, right? If you apply the bias, then Vbi will change by Vbi minus B, right? So Ec minus Ef is basically Q phi Bn minus Vbi. Then of course Ek is written as EC plus h bar square k square by 2m, right? So h bar square k square by 2m can be written as half mv square. And the minimum velocity required is the barrier height q bvi minus v. So that will tell you the minimum velocity. And h bar k by m is the velocity. So it's already 8:59. So we'll close here. Next class we will continue our discussion on the same topic and we will finish. If you have any question you can ask.